evening, everybody. 6:45, and the meeting is called to order. Roll call is next, and we are all present and accounted for. The first thing on our agenda this evening is the public forum. Would anybody like to speak this evening? Barton, Kristin, are you here to speak or no?
You have what I sent in.
Okay.
Does everybody else have that?
Yeah, in your packet.
We do, yes, we've read the letter.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I mean, if you want to address that, and then if I have additional.
So typically, when you speak during public forum, the council does not respond.
Okay.
So it's just like an informational thing for us, and then we can consider it at a different time. So we have your information. If you want to reiterate it, though, you're welcome to do that.
Yeah, so I live on.
Can you come to the mic, please? It's okay. It's okay.
I've only been in the village a year and a half, and so there was an issue this winter in February where there was pooling of water. The storm drain wasn't draining. I think that might have been some frozen items in the drain. I'm not sure whatever happened with that assessment. But it went halfway up the neighbor across the street's driveway, and I had pools in my yard and ice, and it was there for days. So thank you. You came out and we talked, and I appreciated your time with that. But I just wanted to know what action, because you've had people come out. There was Bolton and Mark was out
Bolton and Mink, yeah.
today, this morning. I don't know if that was related to this issue or something different. But there's been flags put up for both the, so I know something's being planned, but we as like residents don't know, even my neighbors, I'm like, we don't know what's going on. Like, is the road gonna be fixed? Are they gonna do something with the drainage system? So I guess we're just looking for some answers there. And then how are we notified to be prepared? Like, if we have to move our cars to be off the road? What's the communication device there?
We're still finalizing the road plan. In fact, that's what we were just talking about prior, for 2026. But yes, your street is scheduled to be repaved.
Okay.
And as far as the timeline goes, Marcus will handle all that, notifying everybody when we get started or when it's time.
And enough time if people are traveling that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And
Do you know, is it milling, and what type of repair do you think it will be?
she's on Birchwood Ave, yeah.
That's mill and overlay is what we're planning on right now.
Good.
And then by your house, I'm planning on putting some curb and gutter to help get all the stormwater into that drain.
So the curbing is huge, because that's really the gateway to the water going into yards, residential areas, which is a deficit to me because I'm on the lowest part of that road, and it's affecting my basement. So I definitely want that addressed if possible. Could we do different material like cement versus, like just in that one section where it's the lowest part?
I think our plan was, once we finalize the 2026 roads plan, we're going to have an informational meeting here with Marcus, and then you can ask all your questions.
Oh, perfect, okay.
Is that good? But we're still finalizing, so until we get to that stage, we can't really share. You know what I mean? There's not enough information for us to share.
Okay. Do you know when that might be?
What do you think, Marcus?
Next month and a half is my goal.
Okay. But the road will be done in
Yeah.
the summer?
Yep.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
If you want to stay and listen to Marcus's report, he's going to talk about, okay, great. Yeah, Barton?
Martin Winter, 15 Oaks Lane, and this is really a reiteration of what I sort of mentioned last time. And I had a discussion with the mayor about things that I want to accomplish on the rink. And first of all, we've got one corner there, which is the far corner from the warming house, which I have 2 posts sitting there, and I want to get at that. Remove the vertical boards so we can remove the 2 degraded posts there and pull them out and put in 2 new ones. So that's one of the things, and I've also got a number of vertical boards that I want to replace, and this is all on my own money and using volunteer help. Chris Sorensen and his tractor. I did talk with the mayor, and I asked maybe can we just continue what I had done with the previous arrangement? And she wants me to resubmit to the Parks Committee. So anyway, that's something that's ongoing, and I'm hopeful that it will get approved as soon as possible. Another thing, we got the lights, and I haven't talked with Alan yet. I don't know where we are, but on the far light post away from the warming house, we have 2 fobs there that are going to be replaced, and we've got arrangements, and I'm hopeful that's going to happen soon. And as we've discussed in the past, we get a lot of absorption from the black surface, especially later on in the season. So we want to paint the center crown where it's thinnest and where the sunlight tends to penetrate more. That could be a fairly pricey issue. You know, I'm looking maybe $2,000. Okay, so we've discussed that, and hopefully the city can chip in. Hopefully the city can pay for that one. We want to do it right this time. Previous times we've attempted to paint the surface, which is very irregular, aggregate, and it hasn't worked out well because we need to have something that's a heavy paint on the bottom to get a real smooth surface to put our top coat on. So that's the way they do it on tennis courts. Here's another issue I mentioned last time, new snow blower. I want to get a different snow blower other than the large one that we have, which has been a continuing source of problems for us. And I want to get people in the community and myself to chip in substantially, or maybe all. But what I'm looking at is a Honda, and with a tracked system, it would be slightly narrower, but the best reliability, because that's what I want. And then Chris Sorensen and I discussed the levelness of the pleasure rink, and I could tell by flooding it, you know, that it's got some height differences there, and that makes it much more difficult and time-consuming to complete the flooding. So he has some experience with using stakes and lines and things like this. And anyway, I'm just letting you know this is what I want to do, and I know some people have said, well, it doesn't stay level, it doesn't stay in the same position because of the groundwater. I don't know, I pretty much disagree with that, but it does need to be leveled. And anyway, that's the extent right now. I just want to say one other thing, and that is, you know, we have these trees that were planted, birch trees. And I mentioned in the Parks Committee, I said, yeah, they're getting to be kind of intrusive, right? The one nearest the warming house is growing up towards the electrical lines, and the other ones that are on that line there on the side of the pleasure rink, anyway, they're starting to grow into the rink and become a problem. So, you know, it would be nice if we could get rid of some of those, and I know people are against that, but anyway, there's my feeling. We could plant trees elsewhere, but that's a park, and its primary purpose is to be used for as a park for recreational and hockey and skating, amazingly skating. Thank you.
Thank you, Barton. Is there anybody else that would like to speak? Yes, Therese?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and fellow City Council members. I had initially thought that I would present this on paper, and then we talked about it and thought it might be more helpful. I'll be here to answer questions, but I have an idea that I'd like to present to you for consideration. First of all, my name is Therese Bellinger. I work for Birchwood Village as their deputy clerk. Recently, we received an opportunity, and I'm going to read the letter that I wrote for you. The city recently received an opportunity to apply for an arts grant through the League of Minnesota. With support and permission from the mayor, I am the one working on this grant, but I also have solicited the help through Sarah Nephew, a resident and coordinator at the White Bear Art Center. Sarah and I met this week together. We are pursuing ideas that could be very beneficial, I think, for Birchwood Village. This grant would offer funds to support art in the city for 2027, an opportunity I am very excited about. With that said, I would appreciate your consideration in allowing us to pursue an idea now that hopefully, if the grant is awarded, will be part of this grant. It doesn't involve money, instead it involves space. During my years of employment with Birchwood, I have come to learn many residents are very talented here, especially musicians. I too enjoy playing an instrument, and what do musicians love to do? They love to play music together. Well, one way to make that happen would be to model a program after the city's Monday art group and Wednesday yoga. It could be called Jamming at the Hall. An example of that might look like a dedicated evening for playing musical instruments. These sessions could be held on a donation basis as a form of community service. Office staff would assist with coordination and communication as we do now for all of the other events. I would welcome being that volunteer that organizes and coordinates our Jamming at the Hall. Participation would be reserved for residents with an option to invite others as guest musicians. Clear qualification guidelines for participants and restrictions would be established and submitted for city approval. Potential benefits of this initiative include providing an inclusive opportunity for residents of all ages, encouraging community engagement and connection, supporting personal growth, creativity, well-being, and very possibly creating a foundation for additional musical programs and events if we are successful. I hope you will consider this program. Questions?
I have a comment. I love this idea. That sounds super fun.
Well, I want to share with you that Sarah Nephew is of great experience and help. She has already presented very interesting ideas and really hopes to partner with White Bear Art Center. And with that support, we can not only do much bigger things than we may have ever thought of, but maybe we'll put Birchwood on the map.
Because it's related to music, you should reach out to Elliot Rauscher, who is my husband, who is in charge of the White Bear Lake Music Boosters, in charge of all the schools' music.
Perfect. Yeah, the goal is to reach out to all ages. So,
Sounds amazing.
okay,
I don't think you need my permission. I think it sounds great, so.
super. All right.
And thank you for willing to volunteer.
Well, it's been something we've been talking about for ages. Unfortunately, because grant wouldn't, I mean, we have no idea if we'll be awarded the grant. My hope would be to start this right away. Why not? So we're just asking for use of the hall.
I don't think I think there's an exception in our policy that says that a community group doesn't need to pay for the hall.
Yes, and that's how the
And,
arts
I mean,
group
I'm
and the
not-
yoga group operate.
You know, I can bring all the citations into everything, but it sounds fine to me. I don't know, I don't even think we need a vote. I think you just do it.
I thought you were gonna say I can bring
Yeah.
snacks.
Oh,
I can eat the snacks.
That's
I mean,
wonderful.
you know, you guys can't eat snacks while you're playing instruments. I'll help with that.
Okay, that's right.
Giving.
That's very correct.
Sounds great.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Lovely. Next on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
I would like to add an item to schedule interviews for the city planner candidates.
For city business, number 4?
That's fine.
Anything else? Okay, with that addition, could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, number one on city business is a report from our city engineer, Marcus Johnson.
Perfect, thank you, Madam Mayor and the council. So we did get, numbers back from cleaning and televising, and they were very close to each other, but very competitive. Two of them came in, Bolton Mink's recommending that we go with the Nelson Sanitation for, 18,000 and change. Otherwise, Pipe Services was the other one that came in at 20,264. Excuse me, 64. So, I believe this is the last month, we approved, $65,000 for this. And so, with it coming in so much lower than kind of expected, I added, I guess any questions on the original at the moment? Okay. I added, some proposed areas I think that the city should take advantage of, the low pricing. I looked, so what I added would be the remainder of the storm sewer, in the town, and then it would end up being about 40% of the sanitary sewer. With the pricing we got, I looked and we couldn't do all of the sanitary sewer without increasing that approved budget. And I don't think it's worth doing all the sanitary sewer in 1 year, because in 5-6 years, we're gonna be looking at doing it all in the same time. So I'd rather break it up so we can, in the future, have the cost broken up as well. The areas I proposed is doing, Birchwood, the remainder of Birchwood, Wildwood, and then those, stubs off. And then is it J Street? Yep, J Street as well. Any questions or feedback, thoughts? So ultimately, with the proposed area, I just got his numbers, so I haven't fully, reviewed them yet, but we would still be around $20,000 to $25,000 under our budget. So by doing all this.
So since Kristin is here, and maybe we could explain a little bit about why we're doing this, especially the storm sewer.
Yeah, good point. So, we're trying to just take a little bit better inventory, updating our maps. So as he's doing it, I'm planning on swinging out and just making sure our GIS is updated with the most recent. Especially by your house, we don't really know where the storm sewer runs. Well, we kind of do, but for what we have on records, it was nowhere close to what we expected. So, yeah, I'm just trying to.
Kristin knows because, well, we.
Is it going to Marsh or?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, but that's not where we,
That's not what our map showed.
so,
Oh, so you're updating your information, but the sewer is going to the right place, right?
yep,
Okay.
yep.
So there's not adequate city records.
Right. At some point, they had a
It's more administrative than functional.
yeah.
Well, the functional part comes next.
Yeah, so with this, we're just making sure that there's no issues with the pipe, cleaning it out, and just, we want to make sure that it's in good standing, because we don't want to put an overlay over a bad pipe.
Like a cracked pipe, so we have to make sure your pipes are good before we do your road.
Yep.
Folding.
The suction's great when it's like clean on top. I mean, there's never been an issue with it draining,
Yep.
but, I mean, it
Yep.
would be probably good to know internally what's going on.
Yeah, we just want to
Correct.
make sure there's no roots in there,
Okay.
or, we don't know when it was installed, because I mean, I haven't seen any records of this addition, so we don't really know quite the age, but we know when the road was built and stuff, so kind of, but, so that'd be why, yeah. Same thing, we're doing the same thing with your sanitary as well, so we'll kind of get both of those. We know where the sanitary is, but,
And the plan going forward is to make sure the streets that will be mill and overlaid, like in 27, So those will be all televised, like the sewer part, and
Yep.
Okay.
just so we know what's under before we put new road on top.
Do residents need to do from house to road, like, are you, like, concerned about that?
If you're noticing like issues with your,
You'll know.
yeah, you'll.
No issues, but I just wanna make sure.
I knew.
I'm responsible for that, so I just wanna make sure.
I would say you shouldn't really have to. Some people are proactive on it, but when there's an issue, you know really quick. Your toilet starts backing up or floor drains, all that.
All right, good, thank you.
I do have a question on this one. So since we're adding additional storm sewers and other structures, in the event you did find roots and various other things, does any of this include cleaning those out as far as the root portion?
It'd be significantly more, so I want to visit it once we know what's in the ground.
Okay, so we'd still have the 20,000 left over.
Yep, so this includes, he would run, jetter down 3 times, make 3 passes with it. That's typical. So anything beyond that, since we don't really know exactly, I didn't want him to plan for that and inflate their pricing. And then I wanted to visit it once we had an idea. The sanitary, generally, it's pretty minimal.
Yeah, I'm
But-
more sort of the storm sewer. I assume we
Right.
have, it's been a while, so I
Yeah,
think we had planned on having those suctioned out, I think.
yep. And he's gonna suction all the catch basins and structures out. And that's,
The 17 that's listed here.
yep. So that's, well, that's what it was in the original scope. I think we added our like 18 structures, something like that.
Okay.
So all those will get sucked out, so all the storm sewer will be taken care of. Ideally, most of the time, that dirt is just stuck in the structures and doesn't go to the pipe, but we have seen worst case scenarios.
And so loud. This is our best guess of what we have. Is there a contingency if all of a sudden like, oh, there's a labyrinth of storm sewers down here?
I
then
would
what
be
are we
shocked. I would be shocked.
We'll
I've
just
walked
revisit if
around
that happens?
town a lot. So on that pipe that we don't know for sure of, I put contingency in that length. So it's all price is based on length. I put a hefty contingency on what that length is. And so my goal is we're gonna be under that. But, and the rest of them, generally, I've seen the outlets for the most part. That was that one, and then the random structure in Polly's Park are the 2 I really wasn't sure of. Well, I thought I was sure of that one, and then I found out I was not, so.
So when this project is done, we will have all the storm sewers televised and cleaned.
Yep.
Yeah, so,
So moving forward, we won't have to televise storm sewer unless we're planning a project in this street. We still will want to clean the structures, but you can see that's significantly less and easier to do.
so this will get us on a rotation for cleaning too.
Yep,
That's really good.
yep.
Do we know when our last time the storm sewers were all vacuumed out?
Well, that one was vacuumed out a year ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, on Wildwood, right? Well, I think 1 or 2 of them were vacuumed out on Wildwood, but would be my guess. I would guess it'd probably be a while. I know for sanitary sewer,
Well, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say for sanitary sewer, Wiper Township, as long as they've been in town, they didn't remember a time when we've cleaned the sanitaries, aside from.
Oh, the
2018.
sanitary sewer.
Yep. Yep, so I would guess, it'd be kind of a similar timeline.
Okay.
Don't know, but guessing.
Yeah, so our end goal is just to, put this out for 10 years and make our schedule and keep to it, so we maintain what we have going.
Sanitary is the more important one to clean and televise on like a 5 to 7 year basis. Storm sewer is not nearly as frequent. Catch basins are cleaned out, but unless if you're gonna be working in the area, usually you don't clean and televise. It's big enough as long as the structures are maintained. Usually.
This is a really good thing to do, and my guess is residents aren't going to know about it. I would suggest that we do a letter to residents midsummer to say, this is what's happening with roads. This is the reason we're doing it. This is what the long-term plan is.
Yeah.
We're going to do that. That's after we get
point.
this solidified.
Right.
Brings
But
me to-
after it's solidified, I do think sort of a C-spot run, this is what's going on.
Sure.
That actually brings me to my next point is what do we want for notifications for the residents? Or on the property and then just as a whole. The only reason why I ask is like with this expansion, typically with what we had originally, I could just go out and door to door and just give them a notification or stuff like that.
Is it, it's so many houses, it would take you 15 or 20 minutes probably to do that or something? I mean, that seems reasonable. Because, I mean, I always see on Facebook the people who don't seem to get the emails that came out last night, so.
Yeah, yep. I can definitely do door to door. It won't be that bad. I talked with him today, and it sounds like with everything that's in front of you guys today, including the additions, he'd figured it'd be like a 3-day, 4-day ordeal, and he'd be done. So it'd be in and out pretty quick, ideally.
That's everything?
I mean,
Everything, yeah.
It doesn't disrupt
The-
service by any means.
The sanitary, the only thing that we would want to let them know is that they might hear some gurgling. Depending on what their sanitary system looks like, if they have a toilet really low in the basement or something like that.
like air coming up from the,
Yeah, yep,
okay.
yep.
And an occasional like hand coming out or anything?
I haven't heard of that, but
Okay.
Our next newsletter is June 5th, I think. So depending on when this is planned, if it's after that, we potentially could put it in there.
it sounds like he could jump on it as soon as we get the contract.
Oh, okay, so it
Sign.
might be before that.
So it could be as early as end of this week, start of next week.
Oh. Okay.
But I gave him a 60-day timeline, we can work
I
on
don't
the
necessarily
2026.
want to delay it,
No,
wait for the newsletter by any means.
Yep,
we can do a door-to-door thing.
I just wanted to get you guys' feedback,
Yeah,
'cause
let's
so then
do
I
it.
can make sure he doesn't get ahead of me, so.
So I'm only bringing this up because it's happened. Is there a procedure got in place if residents have filled the sewer up with unwanted items?
That would never happen.
Yeah.
There is, well, I wouldn't say there are ways of going about it, but I wouldn't say there's a procedure, so
You know, Ryan,
kind of deal with it as you see it.
since you raised that, I think there's probably a state law or something, right, Alan? But I don't think we have a city code that actually addresses that specifically.
It says you can't put things in the
Yeah,
storm.
like,
There's a city statute that says you cannot mess with
I can
stormwater
figure
or
it out,
sewer
yeah.
systems, yes.
Statutes that would be violated, but I don't think there's anything that speaks to that.
Specific.
You'd really mainly be worrying about, well, we've seen like axes and stuff like that shoved down storm sewers, but for sanitary, it's only a 8-inch pipes, and then it's
Sure.
already all been lined in it should be all lined in 2018, so I'm really
I'm not
hoping
so
we don't
much
see
worried
any
about
issues.
sanitary sewers and storm sewer.
the
Yeah.
storm sewers.
Yeah, is that?
Sanitary is pretty common, we see roots and stuff in there all the time before it was lined, so,
I always put my motor oil in so it lubricates.
oh, that's nice, yeah.
Okay, are there any other questions for Marcus? All right,
Thanks, Marcus.
Thank you.
That
Yeah.
looks good.
And then, we got additionally, yesterday we got, another drainage thing on Oak Ridge I wanted to talk about.
Well, hold on, are we gonna get the video of the sewers?
Mhm.
Okay, like, I wanna see this. Like,
Yep,
what's-
so with that, I'll go through them all too, and make sure there's nothing we need to plan for. And then you guys will get a summary of it, of are we good, are we not, what do we find?
In the actual video?
And then
It
if you
comes on
want
a
to see the
USB.
videos, yeah, it comes
I
on,
don't think he's gonna give me a VHS tape, Jennifer.
a movie night, Ryan?
yep,
Be before the jam session.
it's on a USB.
It's a reel-to-reel, like,
And then there's a report too that's
Okay.
automated as well,
all right,
yep,
thank you.
on to Oak Ridge.
all right.
This is going downhill literally.
So I think you guys were all in the email yesterday about the drainage on Oak Ridge. I wanted to just, I guess, get you guys' feedback of your thoughts. I do have with me an idea that we could look at pursuing forward, but do we want to look at ideas, or do we want to fill the ditches in? Are we okay with the
Well,
ditches? What's the original?
What's your idea?
thoughts?
Let's
What-
shoot the
yeah,
idea.
ideas.
Okay.
Okay, well, Marcus does that. We were under the impression, when we spoke to those residents, it's Marcus and I, last, was it fall, Marcus?
Yeah, it was when they were paving last year.
They did not like the ditches at the time, and we just asked them if they could just wait till spring, and then we would revisit it. So since we're spring, we're just looking at options, and then we can go, and I would like to just sit down with the residents and see what they think going forward, but
Yeah, so it's kind of a little sloppy, so I'm sorry I made this last night after that council meeting. In pink, well, in blue is proposed concrete curb and gutter, pretty much from the cul-de-sac above, running all the way down to the catch basins. And then the pink is a 3-foot strip of bituminous we'd pull out. So all this just for to catch you guys up on curb and gutters normally installed with a slip form, so they have to pull out some of the asphalt to be able to get their machine in
to go under.
to, it's not hand poured or hand troweled or anything like that, it's all off a machine. So they need to pull a little bit of asphalt to get that machine running through, and then around the catch basin it's done by hand. So it would be curb and gutter all the way through, and even through the intersection, and then that would solve our drainage issues. The downfall of that is we're on Oak Ridge again, and we'd have to tie in all the driveways.
How would you do that?
Just you dig back. Typically, we go back to where the right of way is. And in this case, it's gonna be 10 to 15 feet, and then it is just a straight line from that point to where the new curb is.
What's that mean? It's straight line?
Like you take the
driveway out.
you take the driveway out, and then put it back because the elevation's gonna be slightly different. You put it back, so your drive will be like it's not gonna be one straight shot from the garage to the road. There'll be a break in it. Does that make sense? Typically, so this work, we don't go all the way to do the full driveway, because that's one outside the right of way, kind of outside the city's purview. And then anything with the city improvements, it holds a warranty. Contractors don't really like holding warranty on private work. So that's why.
But that would be 10 or 15 feet of driveway?
Yep. Everything is on there is 10 feet. And then the asphalt will be patched in.
And those are the green?
And the green would be asphalt driveways, yellow would be the concrete. So there'd be 3 yellow concrete, and then the rest would be asphalt. That would solve all issues.
And so I could be completely wrong by thinking this, but wasn't some of the issue the actual elevation of the road?
I mean, it'll take a little bit of working, but I can make it work. I looked into it last year. We'll probably have to pull out a little bit of asphalt in that spot. And then also, I recommend, with a project like this, we would raise the curb up an inch, put the asphalt back in that pink area, and then we'd overlay an inch on the whole road again.
And we fill in what we've dug out already?
Yep, so we'd fill in what we pull out, we'd leave the curb still 1 inch high, and then it'd be a 1 inch overlay over everything. Otherwise, you're gonna see that line 3 feet away from the curb until we touch the road again. Does that make sense?
I can't quite picture it. What I'm wondering is,
Oh,
what will neighbors,
I do have my other visual, sorry, I kinda forgot about that. So,
okay,
we were only gonna be pulling out this much asphalt to put in the curb. So, we would put this back in, and then we would overlay everything on top of that.
So you basically have like a little bump going into your driveway.
Nope, it would be smooth.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's the edge of the road as opposed to your driveway.
Can you remind me what the cost was for?
Yeah,
Concrete.
so I did break it down. So the top part is without doing the mill and overlay. So that's pulling out the asphalt, putting curb in, putting driveways in, patching it back in.
Is that in my packet?
No,
No.
I just did this
And so
couple
what
hours
is-
ago.
What is the cost?
So it'd be
114?
214, and then for the whole, for if we did an overlay on top of that, it'd be 25,000. This is based off of what Bituminous Roadways gave us last year, because that's been,
This is 2 years' worth of our budget.
yep, so goes to my next point.
How many homeowners does this involve?
24, that'd be on the project.
Yeah, it seems like that, especially if we're doing an upgrade to
We would want to assess if that's where you're going
we
with.
might, yeah, that would
I
be,
did glance at our assessment policy. That's what we did with when Steve Thatcher was here with the sanitary. And the policy says if it's just a mill and overlay, or I have it, I
that's
think
our
it's a
policy,
seal code,
yeah, basically.
we don't do assessments. Anything beyond that we could assess. And then, so I kind of, just for rough ideas, depending on, I think it said 50% or something like that. I didn't go too deep into it. But if we did 50% of this whole project, Birchwood would be at 125,000, and then per resident it'd be like, yeah, 5,000 or 6,500 a year if you spread it out across 7 or 8 years. I think it calls out, because it'd be able to be put on their taxes.
I think the last time we had a big road project, it was actually Lake
Yeah.
Iris.
You know,
And the whole city came out and said that they didn't want to do assessments. The entire city wanted to pay for it. So I don't think we should change the way we do it.
that's,
If that had been the expectation from the citizens. That is there another way around this that we can just
Well,
drain the area that is actually the problem?
so I can give you guys probably 12 different ways of doing it, but I think every other way is going to be more expensive. I only say that because this is just generally this is what you see across every city. We could do we can't do rain gardens, as we saw the ditches don't drain, so we'd have to do some kind of amended soils. I could run drain tiles, but then we'd have to, they don't like ditches, so they'd have to have a low spot somewhere. I could run up storm sewer to this low spot, but then we're still pulling out asphalt and putting it back in. This would be the least invasive, and I mean, this will resolve everything. If we just raise the road in their areas, it's just gonna push the drainage down the road and to other people's driveways.
So you think this is the best option, Marcus?
I think if we go this route, I think we will wanna look at it for like 2026, for example, because I think if we wanna just do maintenance projects, we can just do maintenance projects. But if we want to do like fixed drainage improvements that we obviously have, we should start considering doing this for projects moving forward. One, it will save our budget, because everyone's getting improvements that are in the corridor, and then we won't have to keep increasing the budget to try to deal with inflation and issues that would come up.
Why aren't these ditches draining?
Yes, I have clay.
Did we look at that before we dug the ditches?
The ditches were put in just to relieve water in
On the,
the driveways. So it wasn't to deal with storm events that you guys didn't really get rain last night, but in the bigger storm events, at that point, it was still meant to push down the road like it would have with or without it. It was more or less just to relieve the water.
and so,
Yeah.
Marcus, I am by no means an engineer, so I'm sorry if I don't sound very smart when I talk about this stuff, but when I remember it was really only like 2 spots that were collecting water. Why were the ditches so expansive?
So much.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was trying to catch water upstream
before it got to those spots.
before it got to it. Yep.
I think you succeeded, but it's just another puddle somewhere.
Yeah. There's a couple other points I wanted to bring up. So this is still not avoiding the water main that we have in the streets, so keep that in mind. There is a new technology that we can look into of lining water main, and I have a memo on that if you guys want to look at that. I don't know if that's really the best option personally, but yeah, we just still have to do that, or have to consider that. And if we do this, it would be worth considering looking at services, because I would hate to, I mean, the lining doesn't cover services. I would hate to put in a new street again and then have someone have service issues, and then they're digging up curb and gutter. And so what I've seen from other places, or from my experience, is if we're coming on a project and we're assessing, we're either fixing everything at once, getting everything new out of the street, so if there's problems, it's out of the street.
So, just to clarify, the 2 options are dig a ditch or jump up.
We learned the ditch,
Fill
the
the
ditch we're
No,
not,
no, I'm, for water mitigation. Like, I'm just trying to think, like, if we want to mitigate the water that's in the street, it was dig a ditch, which we did, and the next jump up in price is $215,000.
I mean, I could ran storm sewer down.
I mean, not more expensive, but just seems like
There-
there's a pretty
there are a
big
lot of
difference between digging a ditch and.
Least invasive option, just dealing with it from a surface perspective.
Right.
Otherwise, you're digging in the dirt,
Yep.
you're putting in catch basins, and you're talking, unless you're gonna tear everything out, correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
You do water mains and service lines, that'd be a great time to put in what.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
In most communities, you'll see catch basins every block, if not every half block. At my most, you see it 2 blocks. Birchwood, well, unless if we find something different. I mean, I don't have catch basins all the way from Cedar all the way to the end of this cul-de-sac. It's a long stretch.
Go back a slide or an image, that'd be a tough lift just because of the shape of Oakridge, if you were to put in that kind of infrastructure, so.
No, I mean, I get it.
but, okay, so what we talked about last fall with the residents is filling in the ditches. We cannot today make a decision. I mean, this is, and
No, I'm not-
especially with 215,000, this is just more informational for all of us. So when we talk to the residents, we can say this is what's happening. These are our 2 options, and
Yeah.
I don't know that we're willing to spend 215,000 on that same road again.
It would have to, I just don't see how you get around not having that be an assessment. If
Right.
that's what, if all the residents were like, hey.
Well, yeah, I
we
think,
want this.
you know, you give the, I mean, that's what we've done in other places. Down on Grotto Street, when we paved it down there, we basically got resident buy-in that they wanted to kind of split the cost paving there.
Yep,
24 residents is gonna be a different number than 4.
yep.
Right?
But, I mean, it's worth at least giving people the option, so it doesn't end up into
Right.
a Lake Avenue fiasco where they feel like it's forced upon them.
And I think though, like, what I'm really trying to ask is like, is there more options between the prices of digging a hole and 215,000? If there's not, there's not.
I mean, I think that this is our cheapest option.
Yeah.
I can look into and give you guys pricing for the other options I see. But I think that the end result, this is gonna resolve every drainage issue forever.
And if you can get a petition from everybody, there's nothing that says you can't assess the whole cost of the project through the neighborhood, which is only 10 grand a person, which, I mean, in real nowadays money, that's not that much.
I mean, I don't think we're saying the city would put in 0, but I don't, you know, I think the city from tax dollars would put in something. I don't think it would be 10,000 a person. Granted, I think even if it's 5, people are not all gonna be happy, but, you know.
I'm just saying it's possible to assess the entire higher cost. If everyone went through the neighborhood and said, this would be great for all of our values, I think you could make the straight-faced argument that it would be worth 10 grand a door to do this for the whole neighborhood. And I'm agreeing with you, Ryan. I mean, if you even set up something that's 70-30, 40-60-40, you know, you're gonna have to test your benefit, you know, accordingly. So that's gonna cost a little bit of money to make sure you can justify the 50-50 that is in the policy. But again, if you have buy-in of the whole neighborhood and they wanna do it, you can
Yeah,
assess
I think it's
more than
definitely something we have to bring.
So,
It would be worth looking at, because the 50-50, I don't,
that. Or whatever it is.
whatever it is, it wasn't super clear. I saw a 50% split, and I didn't dive deep into, I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on this. But,
And we wouldn't do it as a straight 50-50. We would
Right.
test it to see what that value is.
And that 215 didn't include services, right? Did not.
it didn't include any water, I'm just bringing it up to you guys that this
And you
is,
said, but it would be a good idea.
it would be a good idea to, if we're gonna assess, it'd be a good idea to consider looking into this,
Because to do services, then you'd crack the curb again,
Yeah.
right?
Correct.
right?
So,
Yep.
So you don't wanna do that.
And projects moving forward, like we have drainage issues on her street, which is one we're looking at this year, right? My thought is, okay, well, for sure, I mean, we can afford to put curb and gutter down on the low spot. Do we wanna run something similar to this the whole way? What do we wanna, you know? And then, you know, it would be worth having the conversation before we get a contractor in there, and then we have and other issues that we wanna deal with.
maybe we set up a workshop in a couple
Yeah.
weeks, and let's go
Yep.
through that.
Yeah,
Okay, because we
Regardless,
can't settle it tonight.
I'm just trying to.
yeah,
But
regardless of which option we pursue, would we fill the ditches back to do this one?
You tell me, what do we wanna do?
No, but do we fix the ditches regardless of what we decide to do? Do the ditches get fixed?
I think the ditches are functioning as
holding ponds.
what they're intended to. So if we want to fill in the ditches and not consider any of this, I won't fill the ditches in until we come up.
Until we decide on the.
Because otherwise, we're gonna be paying for someone to come in, fill the ditches in, and then paying for someone to shape around the curb,
Okay,
the curb and gutter.
got it.
That would be if we're not even interested in this, then yeah, I would say we should have one of the other contractors that are coming in to expand their scope and have them throw dirt and seed there.
I think it's all, we workshop with the residents, figure out what they want. and that's
Yep.
what we'll do.
Yeah,
Hey, Marcus, is the other,
Oh, I kind of forgot to show you guys this too, because sorry, I've been just airheaded today. So with just my thought process, we wouldn't put the B-style curb in except for around the catch basins. It would be like a drive-over curb, so you wouldn't lose street. And then, yeah, that's just kind of what the looks are of it. At the driveways, it'd all be dropped down. Sorry, Kathy, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, that's fine. On the other figure one, I guess it would be, is the other little offshoot of the road, we've already done that one, but it's a higher elevation than.
Down here.
Cul-de-sac?
Yeah,
It's just climbing up. So at this point, I don't think it's worth
but it's
putting into.
uphill as far as.
It's all uphill, it's all draining. That's kind of why I ran the curb and gutter through, so we'd catch that and then it would go down.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't going to end up with a big puddle.
Yep,
Down.
and even on this north side, if and when we work up here, again, we would have curb and gutter that runs through this intersection and catch it all and then send it down.
Is there a storm sewer somewhere over there, or are we dumping this in front of someone's yard?
Everything comes, and over here?
At the, either side, I don't care which.
So all this would come down to this curb and gutter, and then everything on this cul-de-sac comes down this hill.
To our new community pool.
Yep, and then everything from Hall almost comes down this way too. It's a lot we're draining.
So where is this magical water going to go, even if we've
There's
functioned to this?
There's catch basins built in here,
Those have,
so we would tie into that. And with the design, we'd make sure we don't need more capacity, but I would,
Can you just
Really
humor the dumb question of what do you mean by a catch basin?
it's the thing that sucks in the water along the side of the road.
Your sink drain.
Yep. So down by your house, Ryan,
Yeah.
where the lift station is, you know where, kind of jets off and there's the metal structure on the sides of like the radiuses?
Is it the same as it was, is it like a storm sewer inlet? Is
It's
that a
storm sewer
catch-
inlet,
Is that what
yeah.
you mean?
Yeah, that's
by
what I mean
Catch
by-
basin is a
yep.
storm sewer inlet?
It's a storm
Okay.
sewer inlet, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And so that would be caught at the intersection of those two streets and then running down.
Everything
to the-
gets sent down to the cul-de-sac, yep.
Where it actually will drain out.
That's what it was intended to.
No, it will, right?
Oh, yeah, yes, yep, yep, yep.
All right, thanks.
Perfect. And I
Unless
think
someone put sawdust down there.
that was a
get a pool.
sanitary.
All right,
Just a couple hay bales, that's all you need, right?
we'll put something together with Marcus's figures and get it out to those residents. And then, is it all right, would you guys be interested in holding a meeting then?
Yeah, I think,
And then we can all
definitely
talk
I
about
think we need to talk about it for sure.
Okay, all right, so we'll set something up. Next on our agenda, number 2 is approval of Small Cities Grant for 2050 Comprehensive Plan Planning.
Are we gonna address the bids?
Oh,
Oh,
That's the next thing on our list. We do have, 2 bids.
so you wanted to do you had recommended the 18,115, but that's not actually the amount, right?
Nelson
that's not
That's
the bid
Nelson
yet.
Sanitation and Rental.
Sanitation.
Yeah, it would be, or I'm recommending we approve Nelson Sanitation's bids and then approve them to expand their scope to include everything that's on you guys' last 3 maps.
You've already received a total for that?
Yeah,
What would be the amount of if we were,
so
Safe level.
regardless, we're gonna be 20 grand less than what we approved.
it'd be,
So we're at like 40-ish,
45?
40-ish to 45, yep. I
that
want,
would be for how many?
that would be all of the storm sewer and then 40% of the sanitary sewer that we have in town.
Okay. So I move that we approve Nelson Sanitation and Rental, Inc., bid for up to $45,000 to cover the scope that Marcus has.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. All right, on to number 2 then. I received an email from, let's see, her name is Merritt Clapp Smith, who was working with, she works for Met Council. And they had a grant available for small cities, and we had qualified for the grant. This 2050 comprehensive plan is required for all cities by the Met Council. But it involves a lot of studies, a lot of data collection, and it's quite pricey. So Met Council realizes that the small cities don't have a budget or the staff to put together such a huge plan. So they came up with this grant idea. So it's really, they'll pretty much take care of everything. I've included in your packet our responsibilities along with what Met Council will be responsible for. And pretty much they'll just lead us the entire way. Our major responsibility is to hold, I believe, 3 community meetings on different topics, and they will help us write the draft, or they will write the draft with our input. And pretty much, I think it's due on, our plan is due on 9/1/2027, with the final plan due in May of '28. So this is a 1.5-year type program, but I didn't see why we should decline it.
Yeah, there's no downside, is there?
I don't think so.
Do they assign us an individual to work with?
Yes, it's gonna be this Merritt Clapp Smith.
Oh, okay.
I know,
And, no,
And for perspective, council, I think the last time we had to do this, it was about 10 or 12,000 out of pocket just for the assist. So this has got a real value to you guys of about that much, if not more.
I can go in a little bit more depth if you want to.
Hmm?
I can go in a little bit more depth if you guys want.
Oh, you know about it? Well, Mayor?
I just know.
We do these a lot, so for us to come in and do this, for you guys it'd be cheaper, obviously, but for communities similar, like least larger, it's like $65,000 to $130,000 to do these. It's expensive. Their requirements are on the sanitary and storm sewer change every time, so it's kind of a cat and mouse game. It's pretty expensive. It's worth doing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Last one I did in Maplewood was $100,000, just for the
Wow.
consultants to come in and do it. Obviously, it's a very different community, but it's a big deal. So to get this is a good
Yeah.
deal.
Absolutely.
So are we gonna submit to them some things like our road plan and our whatever, all of our infrastructure stuff, and just kind of have them incorporate that? It seems like they would do that for us.
Yes.
Like, it seems like we've probably done a lot of the work. It's just gonna be like filing taxes and filling in the bubbles from the forms we made ourselves, so.
And they'll do some of the
It really
steps
is,
as well.
because
Yeah.
you're largely developed and built out, so it's just basically updating what you did the last comp plan. So,
Yeah, I mean, when I read through the comprehensive plan, I don't know how much it matters.
in your city, it doesn't.
Right, yeah. In Oakdale or Woodbury, where there's a bunch of, I get that, but yeah, okay.
Where
I
there's
mean, so
huge
maybe we don't even worry too much about whether, like, cause, you know,
It's one of the reasons why I think this program exists, is because there's not a lot of change and drama, so committing someone to help you out, gets it done. Because a lot of small cities don't have the staff to actually even do the very minimal work it takes to update a comp plan. So I know this city struggled with it over the color of a couple of items on the map, because no one really knew what to do. So you won't have that problem this way.
what were the colors?
Well, look at your comprehensive plan. No, there was some question as to whether or not there was park or institutional, I think was the big dilemma. And in reality, it's all just public property. So it didn't really matter, but I mean, it hung up the finishing of that project by half a year or something like that. So
So
we won't have that problem here.
sorry, in your packet, at the bottom of page 26 and 27, those are our responsibilities and the calendar for when they would like it done. So tonight, I'm just asking for you to approve the resolution that they've drafted. I mean, this is great. It's Resolution 2026-6, just authorizing participation in the Met Council's Small Communities Planning Program for assistance with preparation of the 2050 Comprehensive Plan. Once we approve that, they will send a contract to us that needs to be signed.
Right.
After that, we are supposed to find point people, either on council or in the city, that were willing to work with the Met Council.
I move to approve the authorization, or I move to approve the lengthy resolution name just stated by the mayor.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. Number 3, review bids for lawn care. We have White Bear Lawn and Snow and Top Green Auto Renew option. Those are on pages 30 to 38 in your packet. I looked over them, and it looked like White Bear Lawn and Snow was just a bit cheaper than Top Green.
And I would note
Did you
that
have-
Joe from, yeah, I would agree
Is
with
this
that.
Joe?
Joe is from White Bear.
Hi,
is
Joe.
here, so if you have any questions about his bid, he is here to answer questions.
And from what I understand, Joe, you've been super helpful with Therese, so thank you. Did you guys have any questions?
I'm trying to get to the actual bid portion.
It's on page 35.
Yes. Page 37, if you're looking at the general. I just wanted to make sure that this does not include any of the fertilization, herbicide, et cetera. Most of these are too close to the water to actually put something on that's gonna run in the water. But I think it's just the highlighted. Just wanna
Is
make
that
sure.
correct, Joe?
Correct, the mayor, members of council, the proposal just gives that as an option. So if you guys were to get a complaint about weeds, dandelions, et cetera, you guys would have the option to, hey, yes, please spray this park, please fertilize this park, whatever. the case may be, but it is not included in the actual bid. That's
Total.
something you guys would request.
And then the other one, is this on the same schedule that we had last year with True Green? As far as every week was Ty Schmidt, and then every other week was all the other parks.
That's what it says here.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And that includes, let's see, it was all parks, all easements. Ash was just maintenance. I don't think there's actually mowing there. And then the city hall, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe it's like for like, Joe, isn't it?
Yep.
'Cause you went off of what happened last.
Oh, good,
Mhm.
excellent.
With the addition, I see of spring and fall cleanup, which I really like too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because we were hiring someone else for that previously.
Well,
Yeah, so that'd be nice to.
or relying on
Consolidate.
volunteers.
Yeah.
And I was just down at K, and it really needs to be raked. There's a lot of
ID'd.
branches and stuff,
Yeah, dethatched.
so.
Okay.
Alan, is your recommendation that we go with White Bear?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's like for like. The title page shows you what the actual request is for services, and so I would recommend that and go from there.
I know we didn't ask for this in the bid, but we need to clear the brush on the sides of many of the roads. So is that something, Joe, that you do?
Yes, it is. And I can work with Teresa on that, if you guys have a map or something, we can get you a quote on it.
Give us
Yeah.
a quote.
Yeah, we
would
can
be
à la
good.
carte that, so it
Yeah,
doesn't
I think
necessarily
that would
have
be
to
helpful. We
this.
got to get that done.
Right.
I agree, there's a lot of debris there.
Yep.
And we
So-
do have a bid for collection of some of the asphalt that you've noticed. It's kind of
Yeah.
a rough year to be an asphalt curb. So we're collecting that up, and we have a bid in there to have Joe help us out with that too.
Is that you too, Joe?
Yes.
Okay, I know it's in the consent agenda, but I was gonna pull that out anyway, so can I ask you about it?
Yes.
Okay, so I know we're gonna do the dumpster out here for that one day. Could we put the asphalt curbing in that dumpster, or no? Is
I
that
mean,
separate?
It's usually not really stuff we want to put in the landfill.
Okay,
Where we break our concrete and asphalt, we recycle it. So we prefer to do that rather than put it in a landfill.
okay,
And then depending on how much you guys approve on that curb removal, I know part of the bid was to go around the town and pick up pieces, which there's a lot of around town. But that's up to whatever you guys decide to do.
okay. Well, Teresa and I had actually driven around, and there's not too much left. A lot of it's stacked here.
Sure.
And I saw in that bid that it was 5-hour minimum, so I don't know if.
We can adjust that, I guess, as needed, if we're just gonna take the pile, that's fine. She made it sound like we were gonna go around the whole town and pick everything up.
Right.
That's where they could just come in down the road. I noticed there's still quite a bit of loose stuff that's just kind of placed back, but as soon as a street sweeper or somebody steps on it and rolls an ankle, then you're gonna
Right.
have a problem.
I guess, yeah, my question, I guess, 5 hours seemed like a lot of time for what we saw was left on the roads. That was my only issue with it.
Sure, I mean, you think of the time to drive every road, I guess that's kind of the,
Okay, because we mapped it out, we just made a list, and there were like 10 places.
okay.
So maybe we can talk a little bit more
Yeah,
about that?
we can discuss that,
Okay,
that's fine.
all right, thank you.
And if we can go around and have staff aggregate it and make it go faster, I'm sure Joe will work with us, so.
Okay,
The reason he's here is because I was horrified to find out that we were just throwing this stuff into our regular waste collection, and so
Right.
that's not good.
okay. All right, then let's stick with this lawn care and maintenance. Could I have a motion to accept White Bear Lawn and Snow, their bid for our lawn maintenance and spring and fall cleanup?
So moved.
That's Ty.
You guys are gonna have to, you guys sort it out.
Bridget with Isley seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, Joe. All right, on to the consent agenda.
Let's
Oh,
get
just-
number
Oh, I'm
four yet?
sorry, forgot
Yeah,
number
Ryan's,
4.
Ryan's issue.
Ryan wrote it down and everything.
But before we
was,
move on, Alan, would it be possible to work with Joe so that we can get the brush cleaning done this spring before bike riders?
I think so.
Okay,
Before the street sweeping would be.
I'm gonna,
and before street sweeping?
I'm just
Yeah,
gonna
that's a really
assure you that
point.
we will do that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Sorry, Ryan.
Yeah,
On to 4, which is schedule interviews for city planner.
I was just gonna propose that we bring, looks like we got a couple, promising new candidates. We, just schedule that for the May regular meeting and have them come in here and, into our regular meeting and just hear from the candidates and maybe make that available via Zoom. I know there's one candidate who's quite a distance away, so that was what I was gonna propose, and
Okay.
I can make a motion, or we can just ask Alan kindly to do that, if that's.
We'll schedule it, and for what it's worth, I know the folks that are represented by the Falls Agency.
Yep.
And I really didn't know, I mean, my apologies if I teed this up incorrectly, but since we didn't really set it up to interview, I sent everyone all the materials. I have talked to Craig, who's the one who's farthest out, and I can assure you that he would come down and personally deliver the message. So-
Well, and if for some reason that time doesn't work for somebody, we can figure something out, but hopefully it does.
If we're talking next month, I think that'll be
Yeah,
enough of a lead
talking
time.
Regular
If
meeting.
you're telling me next meeting, I'll just tell everyone to show up.
So, I mean, I'm not gonna be available in the mid-month anyway, so it would be,
The only question I had about that when you sent it out, Alan, is one of them seems very far away, one of them seems really expensive. So are we seriously considering those two?
It's the
Well-
reason I didn't schedule something.
Right,
Because we've
I mean,
got
I
one
don't, I
and-
don't want to waste people's time if,
I mean, to me, I think the question of expenses, we have to, you know, I think that's the going rate for somebody who kind of is available and understands shoreline zoning. And, you know, I think we've had enough problems here. There's somebody available, I think, from Bolton and Mink that's more like Ben's rates, but that's somebody a couple of years out of college. I also think that we're likely to save the money. You know, one of the things I do think we need to do is we had an agreement with Ben that he would bill back to the city any amount that he spends with a homeowner greater than 30 minutes.
Okay.
And he's never done that.
I've
We've
never
asked
seen a
him,
bill.
what's that?
I've never seen a bill.
He never, ever does that. And so, you know, we're spending significant funds basically to him on retainer, but are never getting billed back to people. Like, I didn't ever see him bill anything back for the work on Galadowich's house. We've asked him repeatedly to kind of revise that, and so I think this is actually, even at a higher rate, it's probably a savings for taxpayers.
okay, I just raised it
So,
because I
I
wouldn't
mean, it's a
wanna waste
fair
the time
question,
if
and I
say
think
it's
we
too
need to look
expensive.
at that.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's my answer. Other people can have other opinions, so.
So the question then becomes, do you want this as a presentation, or do we want to come up with a slate of questions for each of the applicants? And do you want the current provider to be part of the pool, if you're really going to do this interview style?
I like the presentation idea,
That's a good idea, yeah.
and then maybe a small time after presentation for a couple of questions.
Yeah, well, it'd be nice to tell people this is what they're going to get as questions too, that's all. As
Yeah.
opposed to asking one group this question and another group that question and another person or group and no
I
questions.
like that idea.
So,
Yep.
just to keep it even.
Yeah.
Alan, would it be possible, and if that's, to get a summary of everything that our city planner has billed back?
I can certainly ask
That would be
for a
good, I
billing,
think, to
inventory.
get that summary, to find out if we're just, basically, this is just subsidized, so, okay.
Have we already provided the planning commission's workflow document to these individuals when they were reviewing?
When they were bidding?
Mhm.
No, the folks that bid basically looked at the city, watched some city council meetings, looked through the ordinances, so it's really their own homework that generated the bids.
Okay.
So we
Did
didn't put
provide
out
them
anything.
that document?
We put out
as
an
a-
RFP saying, these are the services we want, this is the size of the community, that sort of thing.
What document is that?
The one that we use when we have a variance, because I think that's
Oh.
going to be the main thing that
Yeah.
we're going to be discussing, I think, overall, is that one. So if they have a chance to look at that, that's the general questions that I think would be.
Yeah, I can send whatever you want as a informational, here's what we're gonna be querying about if you want.
That sound good?
Yeah, that's fine with me, so.
Okay.
thank you.
And then if we have specific questions, can we just forward them to you to
Yeah.
send out? Okay.
I'd prefer that, so if we
Yeah.
can kind of accumulate those so they aren't leaked out or whatever else, and that way we
Okay.
can send them out to the applicants, give them a week to think about it and come up with answers.
Okay. Sounds good.
So what do we decide next at the
May.
meeting? So you're not gonna be here, but,
I'll be here in May probably, but not in the 2-week workshop.
got it, okay. So we're scheduling this for, do you want it as part of the meeting, or do you want a special meeting before the meeting for this?
Part of the meeting is fine, we can just do it right at the beginning if that works for people, but if don't have the only opinion, so.
But during the
I
meeting
just
is
want
fine?
to keep things
Alright,
moving
yeah,
forward
sure.
here.
And last but not least, do you want the current provider and the two bidders, or just the two bidders? I think to be fair, you should probably have all three,
I was
since
gonna say
it
all three.
was,
Right.
All three.
okay. All right, we'll make it happen.
Thank you, Alan.
If everyone could get me questions that they would like to see maybe in the next 2 weeks, would be nice.
Thanks.
Okay, we're on to the consent agenda. And I would just like to pull out the dumpster, that would be number 6, just for a date clarification with you, Kathy.
With me?
Mhm.
And I just want to make one comment on the March treasurer's report.
Okay, so we'll pull out 2 and 6. Anything
We kind of
else?
already discussed 4, but didn't approve, because you're changing that one, do we need to pull that out?
You know what? We can approve it, and then we'll talk to Joe about it.
Okay.
It's fine.
Yeah, because if that's the time and materials, I mean, that's more or
It's-
less what we're approving, so
Yeah.
I assume that's okay, Joe? Okay, so yeah, I'd leave it in there unless you have a compelling reason to pull it
I would
out.
like to pull out number 9 as well, just for a clarification point.
2, 6, and 9? Anything else? Okay, with the exception of 2, 6, and 9, could I get a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, number 2 is the March treasurer's report.
Yeah, I just want to make the point that hopefully you've noticed that we continue to reiterate it, and that it's becoming clearer and clearer about where our financials are. But if you've got any feedback, if there are things that you want to have changed, Marcia has been great about continuing to reiterate it to make it better.
It looks,
Much easier.
yeah,
How is it?
you can,
It's good.
Much easier.
if you talk
We
to
happy?
Marcia, tell her it's,
Excellent.
looks really good.
Excellent.
I think it is too. Yeah, so,
Thank you for working on that.
no, absolutely, but feel free to drop her a note to say how much you like it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell her too, she's very conscientious about this.
Yes,
so
she's been
when we
great about it.
First talked about it, she was horrified, because of course, that's her job, is to
Yep.
keep
Yeah.
things illuminated.
But I just think it's much clearer than we've had in the past,
Yeah.
Okay.
so.
I'd say I really enjoyed the monthly treasurer's financial summary.
So did I.
Yeah,
No, I did.
That was nice.
yep.
I thought it was very helpful.
That might have been my favorite part of it.
Me too. I was like, yes. Words.
Things lined up. It was
Yes.
good.
Okay, number 6, just the only thing about we're gonna have a dumpster, I didn't know if you were aware, Kathy. Joe's gonna provide a dumpster so we can clean out the shed in the garage
Okay.
here. And I was thinking, we get it for a day, so I was thinking of doing it on the spring cleanup day. So we also would have people. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's April 29th.
April 20,
29th,
I think it's the 20,
not that late,
hold on, I have it on my calendar.
I think it's the 24th.
24, 25.
It's the Saturday, that's the 25th.
That's the 25, yeah.
25th?
Yeah, it's the same time and day as the Dock Association meeting.
Right.
Unfortunately, so
That's all right.
so it's gonna be busy up here.
I just thought it would be good if we had more hands to help carry things.
sure.
Okay.
And since
Okay.
we will have
So
a
April
dumpster here, I don't think this is a Joe thing, but since there's gonna be kind of a buzz, do we wanna bring in a document shredding service? Or no? Since it's cleanup day,
Yeah,
I
no?
don't care.
For the city, or people bring in their
For
own?
the city
The
just to bring
residents.
things here. A lot of
nice.
cities do that just
Yeah.
because it's cleanup
That'd be
day
cool.
and people have that on their mind,
Sure.
so.
Are we also looking at the shed down at the rink?
Yes. Oh, no, not the rink. That one and this one.
Oh, okay. We might want
You
to.
mean the
look at-
warming house?
Yes, the warming house.
Well, we would have to bring the stuff up here because the
That's
dumpsters.
fine.
We can do that if we
I
have
think we
enough
might wanna look and
volunteers.
see.
I'm not sure how much is in there because Jim's been sort of systematically
Has he been?
cleaning that
Okay.
out over the
It was
course of
messy
this-
last year when we had tried to get stuff in there, but I'm not sure if the broken snowplow or whatever it is that was, no.
We don't
We'll
know.
tell Jim, and if there's stuff down there, we'll make sure it gets up here.
And then, can you ask if he is available to come on that day as well? He typically has come to haul away logs and such.
Sure. And I honestly, I don't know if he knows
I doubt he has.
that's a date yet.
I believe we had sent a message to Therese to get it in the newsletter, which it got in the newsletter, but it just says more details coming. So we're going to be working on, in our parks meeting, a list of the things that we know about that need to be addressed parks-wise, so.
I'm just curious, what's in the sheds that need to be tossed out?
It's just gonna
This
have
one and that one,
Yeah,
these two.
yeah.
At the
A
risk of
variety of
sounding kind of
things.
glib, I would just say stuff.
Yeah.
So there are things downstairs, there was a desk, for example, in the office, just as an example, one of those big old, like, almost like a partner's desk. And so the request was, make it go away. Well, it went away as far as that room goes, so it takes up a whole corner, like an old golf cart sitting there. So it's just one of those things that just needs to go away. And there's a lot of spare, I'm not gonna say spare, there's a lot of old lumber, whether or not it's useful or not. We'll figure that out, because we've gotta start tagging stuff. And I won't even talk about that shed, because that's just, looks like every spare thing that gets picked up just gets thrown in there,
It's like a scene from American Pickers.
Yes.
without anything to pick.
Can you watch for the custom paint that we have for the outside of the building? Because I remember that being.
It's downstairs.
Is it?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
inside.
I thought that had to be weather regulated, so I was hoping
Yeah.
it was inside.
I'm just
There's
wondering
everything,
if residents would be interested in any of that stuff. The desk, the
well, the desk is now in,
lumber, I don't know.
it's beyond American Pickers.
It's garbage.
Okay,
It needs to just go.
There's
Okay.
nothing valuable.
nothing there. All right.
And I think that staff just hasn't had the time to do it historically, so this is a chance to put the dumpster right there, and
Okay,
any hands will just take care of it, so.
great.
Okay, with that date, you said the 25th, right?
Yes.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve
Or should we
then?
just take care of number 9, and then we can take sweep
Oh,
the
all of
rest
them? Okay. Number 9 was the approval of Tyke Schmidt's
Yep.
field rental.
Yes, so I don't have any issue whatsoever with their document in general, but we did get information regarding our park project is going to be end of June, July is when we're going to be breaking ground. It should not be affecting the actual field. And then Marcus is going to be working with the team to make sure that they're not parking in a way that's going to cause issue with that. But I just wanted to make it clear that there will be some work happening down there, and we're gonna try our best to
Are they
leave that spot.
aware of it?
Are they, the soccer team aware of it?
Yeah.
I don't, well, we had mentioned it last year when we had done the thing that it was gonna be happening this spring. So I'm not sure if that has been brought up, but I would like them to be informed of it.
Right. We
It
can do
should not
that.
be-
We haven't said anything, I haven't said anything yet, but we'll also have an inspector down there periodically, and so anything that comes up or questions and stuff like that, he'll be able to swing over at any point, so.
Okay.
Is it Wade? I think Wade's the contact person, maybe? Yeah, we can let him know.
Yes,
But
that's the
it
only-
shouldn't affect them, so.
No, it
Well,
shouldn't, and just as
yeah,
far as
just-
like keeping
Oh,
kids
yeah.
away from.
I'm sure it doesn't, but like,
Just notify.
I'd rather just tell them
Sure.
before like having them find out that, oh, hey, one of the kids drove the excavator into the lake or something.
That's a whole other issue for sure.
All right.
And we're still okay with the $2,000 for the rental fee?
Yeah, because that was mostly covering the mowing of the
Well, yeah,
field
but
itself.
with our new bid, I think that the mowing's gonna be about four grand.
Yeah, we were covering half of it last
Oh, we're covering
time,
half.
so
Okay, that's fine.
that's what they did last time. And then if they did the fall as well, I believe it was the same amount. So it ended up covering our full mowing last year, well, almost our full mowing.
Nice.
Any other questions for Kathy? All right, then could I please have a motion to accept Number 2, 6, and 9 on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Would you like to do the announcements?
Yes, Madam Mayor and Council, announcements, of course, every month you get the Washington County Sheriff's Report, which is included. You've got the Association of Small Cities Legislative Agenda. I had printed off, and you've got one in front of you here as well. I printed that off, and it was a little late for the packet because it was in my folder, and so we had staff prepare the agenda. So as a placeholder, what you've got in your packet is the essential 2025 one, but this one actually covers what they're going to be at the Capitol talking about in this legislative session, which of course is almost over, but it's there. And, well, I guess I should say the link is there. That's what Teresa ended up putting there. Your sanitary sewer survey report is in there. That just dropped a few weeks ago. And I know that Councilmember Isley asked about resolutions and whether or not they were in good shape. So Genevieve went through and we got signatures everywhere that those were needed. And just to make sure we had a complete list from 2025.
Thank you.
We do there in the book. Your handout from animal control is there. That's really an FYI because a lot of people kind of forget that we have animal control. So that tells you what they do. And finally, the music in the park lineup is there for 2026. One last thing that I'd like to bring up, it kind of arrived too late to really be in the packet. There's a policy here regarding rental of the city hall, of the village hall. And so a request came in from a previous resident, probably just as easy to hit the highlights of the ask. Basically, it's a request to use the hall, but this particular person, although a past resident of 30 years and a former deputy city clerk treasurer, whose family goes back to great-grandparents, grandparents, parents, and her family for over 30 years, basically is saying, hey, my husband and I retired, we live in rural Minnesota, my grandson is graduating from White Bear Lake, his mom is in Texas, his dad isn't in the state anymore either, at least not in the metro. We'd really like to have a graduation party for him, and because of the long history in Birchwood, she's asking if we would make an exception to the resident rule and allow them to have that here. And assuming that the date is available, would you guys mind if we did that?
I'm
It's
okay
just
with
sort
it.
of a look the other way on our city policy, and
Well,
I thought I'd bring it up because it's kind of a charming story. So I don't need a vote or anything, but everyone's okay with that?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
All right, and with that, we would stand
Alan,
for questions.
Are we going to update everybody on the happy dog hire? Did we decide to do that? I can't remember.
Oh, yeah, the website, well, you can hit the highlights for that. We've got a website, basically a redux, so we've hired the company to do that, and they're now, about a week in on their proposal, which is about 6 or 7 weeks, somewhere
Yeah.
as the horizon.
Yep, so we've hired, I looked at 4 vendors, and we hired Happy Dog, who is local, actually. They had the best and most thorough process for developing a website. They have a prototype that they are working off of. We're gonna meet Alan and Teresa and I this
Friday. Mhm.
And we're hoping that we will have a website prototype to be tested probably in 4 to 5 weeks. And then we'll be asking all of you to test it like crazy.
Okay.
And a lot of credit goes to Councilmember Spurl for
Yeah,
basically
thank you.
sort of pre-constructing all this, so it's their job to make it work, but it's already pretty finely
It's in
shaped.
pretty good shape.
It looks
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
You did a
We are
great
going
job.
through, we're going through things that we're finding, some artifacts and some things that just don't make sense. One of those was, we discovered this odd tiered dog licensing policy where, depending on where you hit the city with your dog, you can jump in either a first, second, or third tier of licensing, which we decided
It was
didn't
just
make a whole
crazy.
lot of sense.
Yeah,
So
right.
some of those things, as we find them, we're gonna bring
We're
to
cleaning them
council.
up.
And that
Yeah.
was just gonna be a policy shift, except for the fact that that's also in the fee schedule, so now it has to be brought forward. So it seemed like a better idea to go through, and anything that implicates a change to the fee schedule, which has to be done
We should just-
independently, we would bring that as one sort
Yes,
of group of
right.
efforts.
We should just get rid of dog licenses entirely, like Oakdale and Woodbury did.
Oh,
They
that's-
don't license dogs anymore because everybody goes on Facebook. I don't think we need that administrative burden, but you've now heard more than you wanted to hear of my opinions.
I don't
probably,
disagree,
So
and so
moved.
that's your guys' choice, so when it comes back to you, I mean, what we're proposing anyway as a policy shift is just a single fee instead of this tiered structure, but if it becomes sort of a, why are we doing this?
It's not a
I don't-
big
I'm not-
moneymaker.
I'm not gonna
Does it
object.
cover
Well,
our,
it shouldn't be making money, it should be even, but I mean, cities are moving away from licensing dogs.
was it covering our
think-
animal control?
No.
No, it covers the license, I mean.
I've teed this up basically in my memo to you guys that hasn't dropped yet by saying, the reason we do this is so that we know who has a dog and to ensure that it's got a rabies
Rabies
shot.
shot.
And most people in most responsible cities are taking care of that with their animals, so you can give it a shot and not wanna do that, and
Well,
what do they say about licenses, right? They're for the people that follow the law.
that's right, yeah,
So,
that's right.
You know, if you're not gonna get your dog their rabies shot, you're probably not gonna be getting them licensed anyway.
So something to look at.
I did want to bring up, one of the items in this announcement was the MDH sanitary service survey report. And it lists my house as one of them, but no one has come out to my house to do a water sample. I would like some more information as to what's going on with that, because I know he got paid to do it and has not been at my property, but it's listed as one of the houses.
And so in the report, it does list that as a deficiency, and then.
Yes.
So.
Sampling.
There was a sampling issue, so I feel like we need to have that issue mitigated. So if we didn't do it right, what are we doing to fix that?
Yep.
Kind of thing.
He never showed up, because we for sure have our Ring camera working the whole time. No one has been there. So it's not that we weren't home, it's no one has been there.
I will ask and probably email you guys what I find out, so the sampling and deficiencies are one issue. Immaculate generation of data is another issue.
Yep.
We'll figure it out.
Okay. And then I did have two announcements. I already mentioned the one for the Ty Schmidt Park. We'll be having some work done on areas around the back of the hockey rink. It should not affect the music in the park area, and it should not affect the field itself. And then also the other area it will be dealing with is behind the playground area to try and manage. If you've been down there, it's a little wet right now. This is going to hopefully help alleviate some of that. That work is going to be starting end of June, July timeframe. And then we have a cleanup day for the city. We've done this before where it's just tidying up and mostly easements and other areas that are city-owned property, parks, et cetera, where we try and clean up. We welcome all ages. I know last year we had some kids walk around with their parents to pick up garbage along the side of the streets and things like that. It's a great way to get involved. That is April 25th at 10 a.m. We will meet here at the City Hall. We generally have donuts and coffee to incentivize people to show up there for that, and then we disperse from there to various projects, but we'll have a list of items to do.
There's that.
There's that.
And of course, last but not least, last month there was some question that we remedied during the meeting. Mr. Hankins brought up the fact that we didn't have the resolution authorizing Genevieve, which is our new office assistant. While we took care of that, I did email, as I promised, to see what the state auditor thought, and they basically said that that resolution was fine. They didn't see any issues generally, and a memo has been produced by, I believe, the mayor and Councilmember Isley about what we did. I didn't make it necessarily part of the packet, but I'm more than happy to email that around, as well as Genevieve's CV, the resume that we based it off of when we interviewed her, if you guys are interested. I didn't think it was worth putting in the packet, but if you want to see it, I can send that out.
I think it's taken care of, thank you.
I think we had
Okay.
seen it.
Yeah, so we're all good, and I will speak on behalf of myself only, and Therese, because she would agree. Genevieve has been a great hire. She's quick to learn, quick on her feet, and extremely responsible, so it's just been a delight to have her downstairs.
That's great.
Couldn't have done better if we tried.
We were we're able to do back pay as we were hoping, right?
Yeah, everything's fine with her, and I don't think that she missed a beat, so. And if I didn't mention it, we've identified a young man that will be working with us this summer on that part-time basis that we approved last month as well. So I got the commitment for him, so all we'll have to do is just keep him busy. So he'll start when he's done with college, so he's first year McAllister.
Nice.
So Alan, don't let this go to your head, Alan. But
Don't say it though.
I was just gonna say, with as much change that has happened in the city, I feel like we finally have a sense of stability, and I feel like the staff is doing an amazing job, and I just want to give you guys kudos.
Say it to the camera.
Oh, you're doing great.
And if you didn't notice, one of the things we'll be doing hopefully in the next month is setting up the biometrics on our new lock. So it is keyed, so it does have something of a fail-safe, so it's got a hard key, but it is set up to actually do that.
Nice.
So for all of you who need that and don't want a key, as long as there's battery power and it works, we should be able to set everyone up with biometrics to come into City Hall. So I think the key is still a good option since it is a rental space. And so I wouldn't want to set someone up with that when we just would hand out and get a key back. But yeah, little bitty steps, and as long as we're handing out the kudos, if you haven't been into the kitchen lately, that's come a long way too. So our AV gentleman, Chris, hasn't been here since that happened, so I got to show that off, and he was appropriately wowed. So, and this from a kid that just had his first kid. That tells you how impressive it is. Anyway, thank you for the kudos, and I'll extend that to the staff downstairs. We're having as good a time as we can.
Okay, could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.